Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to say a quick hello and welcome. Welcome to a fresh brand new edition of the program ASHFORD GARLEY Live on BRIDGERADIO Africa. We're coming your way, this time not from Detroit, Michigan, the USA, but from Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa. Oh man, it feels great to be back home in Liberia. Tonight, we are going to have all kinds of fun. We play host to the Associate Justice, the Honorable KABINAH Mohammed Janet. He's our special guest tonight. What is on his mind? What does he have to say? Big question. Not so fast, folks. Please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man as always. Tough times don't last, tough people do. The height of a man is never known until he rises, because there's no second chance to make that first impression. Don't see okra and swallow bone, because you can't hide your nakedness from beefing bucket. A bald-headed man does not walk on the moonlight. Trust no shadow in the dark. Some heard the name, some heard people talk about him. You've gotten the opportunity tonight to match the name, the face, and the voice. This is yours truly, the brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. The medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of Liberia, the broadcast commissioner, ASHFORD the Giant, that now you know me, Garley. Welcome. At this time, we like to say welcome once again, and want to introduce to you our co-host from PA. He's a veteran. He's somebody that is not strange to the microphone. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we introduce to you the eruptible volcano SHELTON. SHELTON, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, ASHFORD. Good to be back here, all of our viewers and listeners. We're again here to discuss some of the pertinent issues unfolding in Liberia. Today, accordingly, we're going to be playing host to the former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, Mr. KABINAH Janet. We hope that this discussion will go very well, because there's a lot of unanswered thoughts around why he was removed, whether the process was judicial, was it fair play, those kinds of things, and his recent judgment passed by the ECOWAS Supreme Court. So or rather the ECOWAS Court. We just want to hope that callers will be civil as we go about probing and having a very, good discussion. So again, it's good to be back, ASHFORD. How is Monrovia so far treating you?
Well, so far so good, SHELTON. Again, this is one of the best places to be. When you are on the outside looking in, you don't know what to expect, but I'm telling you, I'm having a great time here. So far so good, no trouble, nothing. I have not been bothered.
Is it trouble don't look for men? Now men don't look for trouble. So since you're not looking for trouble, trouble will not look for you.
On a very serious note, things are relatively calm here, and there's nowhere like home, so to speak, SHELTON.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. Overall, Liberia has been a great country since its inception. It's just that sometimes people just tend to overdo things, If we just stay with the law and do what is right by the people, Liberia is one of the most beautiful places to thrive to survive. Irrespective of what you have and you don't have, it is a place that you can survive. But people just need to have the enabling environment, and provide some stability and protection across the board. So again, I wish you very well. I envy you. You're going to be over there enjoying the organic food while we're here eating processed food. But hats off to you. Enjoy it.
Now, Shelton, what do we expect to hear from the Honorable Associate Justice tonight? But before you come in, let the folks know that we're on live FM 104, 104.1. We're also on Top FM in Israeli Grand Judah County, 105.3. And we're on Joy FM 101.5. Just like that, Shelton, we
Go ahead.
have 1.5 million listeners just in Liberia alone. Now, we're also on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, and we're also live on Instagram, and then we're live on Facebook. We're live on BRIDGERADIOAfrica.com. So, folks in other parts of the world will have the opportunity tonight to listen to the Honorable Associate Justice tonight. And with that said, let us go ahead to.
You said you wanted me to kind of summarize the expectations, right? What to
That's right.
expect. All right.
Mhm.
So I think the Honorable uh, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court is a man of astute quality. He's a legal mind and he understands his right. And it's unfortunate that he had to go through the hullabaloo he went through. And so he's used the law to his advantage by pursuing, further legal actions against the government of Liberia. And of course, a judgment has been handed down by the ECOWAS court, of course, Liberia is a participating member of ECOWAS. So I'm sure that part of the discussion here tonight, he will be able to clarify why he was removed, whether it was constitutional or unconstitutional, and his, going to the ECOWAS court, the judgment handed down, is it favorable, and will the Liberian government be able to live up to what the judgment is? Those kinds of things. So, considering his understanding of the law, he will be making some clarifications. So I think the discussion will be driven in that direction.
Okay. Thank you. Before we bring in the Honorable Associate Justice, why don't we say hi to the rest of the folks? And folks, please don't be selfish. Invite a few friends, grab something to drink, get the popcorn rolling. And with that said, Mr. David Koliko Parker is in the building, Mr. Arthur Tamba, a longtime friend and big brother. Mona Clippier is also in the building.
Klikba. Mona Klikba.
Sufficient D Momo Senior is in the building as well. Jefferson Zan is in the building. Watching from Ganta, Nima County. Victoria Amando, Moses Bobo, Anthony Jala. And do you see some names from your end that you want to read out?
Yeah. I see a Stanley Onas, Arthur Tamba. I see an Arthur Tamba. Sufficient D Momo Senior, Anthony Jala, Victoria Amadou. Let me see here. Miata Sirleaf, Saba Richard Saba, Mapla Nikia, Ma Dillonson, Mohammed Jah Kene, Stephen Johnson Page II, and we have Ma Dillon's son. So yeah, so some of our viewers are now joining in, so that's good. Aloysius Boa, welcome. Mohammed Hassanatu Bari, Touchman is Sharif, Martin Ziowe. So yes, we want to welcome. But again, I just want to say thanks to the Honorable for giving us this opportunity to have an interaction with him tonight.
Okay, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, please join us as we welcome the Honorable uh, Cabinet M. Janet. Honorable Janet, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm particularly pleased and honored to be on this program.
Okay, now let us just jump straight into it. Honorable Janet, what was your actual case to the ECOWAS Code, and why do you believe that the ECOWAS Code ruled in your favor?
Thank you very much. As some of you may recall, sometime in March 2019, precisely on March 29, 2019, the Honorable the Liberian Senate voted by overwhelming majority to remove me, having determined that I was guilty of judicial decision, which, according to them, deprived the government of Liberia of some revenue. It was interesting that charges they had levied against me from the House of Representatives, 5 charges. 4 of them, according to them, their verdict, I wasn't guilty. But they found me guilty of the issuance of a rate to stop the government from collecting 25 cents on a gallon of gasoline. According to them, the issuance of that rate amounted to a criminal conduct. Therefore, they voted to remove me. Now, what is interesting about this is that there was a judicial action, a judicial decision. According to Article 73 of the Liberian Constitution, which I object will take a few minutes to read, it says no judicial officer, no judicial official shall be summoned, arrested, detained, prosecuted, or tried civilly or criminally at the instance of any person or authority on account of judicial opinions or expressed, judicial statements made, and judicial acts done in the course of a trial in open court or in chambers. This is what the Constitution says. But in this particular case, they themselves said that the action I took to issue it to stop the government from collecting money in the case was one for which I was summoned and for which they had found me guilty, and as they were removing me. So obviously, anyone who has an elementary understanding of the Constitution will know that that was a no-go zone. And the fact that they did that at a time when the Chief Justice was presiding paved the way for anyone who has a minimum understanding of the law to seek redress outside our jurisdiction. And that's exactly what I did. I thought that this was something that one should not just let go. You must take the appropriate action and ensure that there is a judicial determination so that it doesn't happen again. You know, this is not the first time we had jumped on a judge or a justice to remove him or her based on some dislike from the executive. I think the case of Chief Justice Chipo. There was some disagreement between him and President Doe at the time, and also moved quickly and impeached him and removed him. Though he even offered to resign, they said, no, we have to remove you through the trial. So I just wanted to make sure this time, because at that time, we didn't have the opportunity of having a judicial forum outside Liberia. But in this instance, there is something. And that is part of the reason why that court was established. That's why we took it there, just to ensure that it doesn't happen to anyone again. So that's basically, a background of the whole case.
Now, Justice KABINAH, Janet, for all the things you were accused of leading to the illegal removal, is there anything you would have done differently or regret that you shouldn't have done?
Actually, I strongly believe that the reason or what caused the legislature to begin impeachment proceedings against me was something they could not support, and that was my dissenting opinion in the election case. There were a lot of persons in authority who felt terribly hurt and offended by that. Now, if you remember, that opinion I expressed the view that there were irregularities, there were fraud perpetrated by those who conducted the election, such that I thought that there were good legal basis to set aside the entire result and order a new election, which called rerun. And I think that hurt a lot of people. So this is the real reason which cannot be written by anyone on for people to say we want to try this man because as I read this provision of the Constitution, you can't do that. They found me guilty only for issuing a rate. And that rate, when was the rates issued in that particular case, one was by a justice who presided in chambers before me, and that was Mr. Justice Banks. He had issued a rate from taking this morning, collecting this morning, and I was faced with a similar petition, basically the same question. So I issued a rate and said, put these together and send them to the full bench to decide. And what was the issue in our case? The issue was whether government in fact had imposed a tax or not. That was the issue. The issue was not whether we should collect it. The issue was, has there been a tax levied by the legislature? Because the executive cannot levy taxes unless they've been authorized by the legislature. And that was the issue. At that point, they had not passed the law. So if you didn't pass a law, then there was no imposition of tax. And that was the legal issue. In your view, go and pass the law. So, but this is basically what was the background. It come to the legislature, of course, giving their own, having been influenced by the executive to do it.
Now, let me go to my colleague, VOLCANO SHELTON, who has been listening, and perhaps he can interject one or two. SHELTON?
Yeah, Honorable Associate Justice, you've explained why you went to ECOWAS court, and now there has been a ruling passed in your favor. And the ruling is, I believe, there's some, restitution of financial, benefits, and also to reinstate you in your position at the Supreme Court, if I'm right. Do you think that with the mandate given by ECOWAS, the Liberian government is binding to adhere to that mandate as a member, a sitting member of ECOWAS? And will you be willing to serve again on the Supreme Court bench in the George Weah-led government after everything you've gone through?
Well, that's a tough one. Let me start this way. Firstly, this is Liberia. This is our country. It's not any George Weah country or KABINAH Ghana. This is Liberia that belongs to all Liberians. I am prepared to provide whatever service I'm called upon to provide, as long as God gave me life strength to do so. I definitely will have a lot of difficulties sitting under the voice of Francis Copper as Chief Justice, because as far as I'm concerned, he's legally, morally unfit to preside over the Supreme Court. So as long as he sits there, I will be very reluctant to sit there and serve as Associate Justice under his voice. That's my personal position, as far as I'm concerned. Coming to the enforcement, whether it's George Weah government or not, Liberia is under a duty to comply with every decision that has been rendered involving Liberia as far as the ECOWAS code is concerned. And there are rules, there are procedures where a government refuses to comply with the ECOWAS code decision, among which includes sanctions against the country. We haven't reached there yet. You know, this is the first time ECOWAS code has issued a decision and has given a time frame to say, within this time, comply with the decision. In my case, they say, we gave you 6 months, counting from the day the opinion was rendered, November 10, 2020. So we're waiting. And I believe that the moment that decision is not implemented, we will be back at the ECOWAS code with a bill of information to say they have done. So we will continue until there's compliance.
Now, so I just want to follow up quick, Ashford, and I'll let you come in. Sorry. So so then with the time frame, has anyone reached out to you from the government since you came back after your ruling was in your favor?
No, nobody officially has reached me. I heard some statement coming from some quarters, but nobody has officially reached me, because the moment that contact is made with me, I have a team of lawyers from Nigeria, from Liberia, from Ghana. They will handle that part.
Okay, Ashford.
Now, did you feel betrayed by the Supreme Court? You just expressed the incompetence of the Chief Justice. Did you feel betrayed by the Supreme Court of Liberia?
No, I felt that the Chief Justice betrayed the law, not me personally. He did not live up to his responsibility as the chief priest of our justice system. He didn't. This is the man who walked to the Senate and sat over a trial which has now been declared by Regional Judicial Forum as constituting a violation of the trial rule. He should be ashamed of himself. I mean, what this man could do right now to remove and leave moral some kind of shame from the court is to resign. He's just unfit to sit there as Chief Justice.
And honestly, you're not the only one who's saying this. A lot of people keep saying that the current Chief Justice is unfit.
Justice Janet, tell us, what is the major difference, if any, between the then Johnny Louis Supreme Court and now Francis Coppola Supreme Court?
You know, I was Minister of Justice under the transitional government. One of the things we tried to do there was to build a judiciary that is well supported and independent. I still remember very clearly the day Mr. Seliu, as president of Liberia, inducted into office or so into office the justices. The statement she made was, look, I want to be remembered as a president. First, she said, look, this judiciary has been a judiciary that often interpreted the law to please the president. I don't want that. I want you to interpret the law as a ought to be. I don't want a legislature that passes law to please the president. Those were her exact words. During the period when we served as minister, one of the things we did that we passed an act, we call it Financial Autonomy Act. That act guarantees support and budgetary support to the judiciary in such a way that no one can, from the executive, just cut it down. No. If we want any amount, we make the proposal, it is sent to the executive, and they cannot remove any figure from there. The law says make a suggestion and attach it to our proposal and send it to the legislature to make that decision. All of those things are gone, thrown out of the window now. Honor Chief Justice Coppola. To the best of my information, our budget, the judiciary budget now has dropped from in excess of $20 million to around $17 million. And this is one way you can ensure that there's no independence. And nothing is done about that. They keep cutting the money and support for the judiciary. So can one say this is a man fit to decide? The longer they measure, the worse the situation will be for the judiciary. I mean, that's my personal, frank opinion. So I'm not disappointed with the entire. No. He who saw it fit legally to go and preside over a trial that has now been determined, declared by a regional judicial forum as constituted a violation of the due process, that man, as far as I'm concerned, is unfit.
Now, Ademapoli will come in. He asked earlier whether any member of the government reached out to you, but going through the video when you arrived, we saw 102 providing security for you at the Roberts International Airport, and 102 forms part of the government of Liberia. Now, my question to you is, did the Chief Justice or any justices of the Supreme Court reach out to you after your unfair removal?
Well, yes, almost. Besides the Chief Justice, they call to say hello, how are you? You know, how are you faring? Things like that, but nothing more than that.
Shelton?
All right. So since you left the associate justice role at the Supreme Court. A lot has been going on. I just got to drift to this one major issue with one of your employees setting himself ablaze. Um, Meaning, when I say your employee, meaning you were once there. How do you make up of that saying? This is the first of its kind in Liberia. What is happening in the country, especially in the judicial system, Honorable?
You know, since the weird government came into place or into being, most of the things that the judiciary had to work with, they just started to slice those things. And why I don't really believe that Mr. Chief Justice Kopo has the courage to go and take people's salary and cause it as he been accused, I don't really believe that to be true. But I know that in terms of defending and protecting the budgetary support base of the judiciary, he's incapable of doing that. So what these employees see is every day something is taken away from them. And nothing is done to protect them. I mean, I don't believe that, as it been said, oh, he took our salary or he took our allowance. No, I don't think he had that. He doesn't have the power to do that. He can't. Knowing I've worked with him for at least 12 years. But if these people in the executive call and say, we want to cut this, knowing him the way I do right now, he had no balls to say, no, you can't do this. You couldn't do that with Johnny Lewis. No. You won't even cross your mind.
Now, Honorable Justice, before your appointment and subsequent confirmation as Justice of the Supreme Court, you were a member of the Liberty Party. Do you see your illegal removal or impeachment as witch hunt because of your role played following the 2017 elections?
Well, I'm happy that you raised this question. I have never been and have never registered with Liberty Party. Never. Councillor Bronskin was a professional colleague, someone I have a lot of respect for in terms of his astuteness as a lawyer. And that has been the case with many other lawyers, those who are politicians or actively in politics or otherwise. Now, in 2005, when I was Minister of Justice, I supported Mrs. Selig. At that time, Councillor Bronskin was a candidate, but I supported Mrs. Selig because I believe that she was the best candidate at the time. So Mrs. Selig was someone you would consider as like a mother, as far as I'm concerned, and I thought that she was the best candidate for the job. Councillor Bronskin was a candidate. I didn't support it, and I was under no legal obligation not to openly support it. I could do that, not as a justice. You know, while I was on the Supreme Court, I wrote a lot of dissenting opinions. A lot. And that, to a large extent, put me at loggerhead with many politicians. You know, in 2000, I think it was 2014, there was a senatorial race in which the current Speaker of the House of Representatives, as a CDC candidate, participated. And along with the Unity Party candidate, who is now the Senator, the Liberal Brown. And in that case, there was a contest as to a small number of votes which were declared in favor of Senator Brown. And I thought that there were some irregularities with the way those results were arrived at. And I wrote a dissenting opinion, very strong dissenting opinion in favor of Buffer Timber, a CDC candidate. So why am I now a CDC institution? You know, people tend to, when they see you become friendly with a particular person, then they believe that whatever you do is because you had the alliance with that person. That's not me. No. Whatever I saw during my period, my time of service, I wrote dissenting opinion. There were certain times that I had disagreement with even the ruling party at the time, the Unity Party. And I expressed those disagreements in opinions that I wrote and issued. So that's why I said, well, this thing about people having judicial opinion and they should be penalized for it, we have to stop that as a country. We have to.
What, Shelton, I know you were coming, but folks, if you're just joining us, this is Ashford Garley Live on Bridge Radio Africa. We're live on Joy FM 101.5. We're also live on Live FM 104.1. And we're live on Top FM in the entire Southeast, 105.3. And we just want to say a big thank you for taking off time off the business schedule to join us tonight on Bridge Radio Africa. Shelton?
Yeah, Honorable, I thought to bring us back to this point. I know that, to seek legal steps, it will require money. And I'm sure you had to put some money up to file your case at the ECOWAS Supreme Court or ECOWAS Court. And I'm sure that the settlement regarding your rights violation is good enough to take care of your legal team and even compensate you for all your travels and stuff going back and forth. That is very critical. What if the Liberian government doesn't meet, you at that point where, pay the money and reinstate you in your position with the time frame given by the ECOWAS Court? What would be your next step?
My petition will be ready. There's something called bill of information, where you inform the court that, look, you issued this order and you also gave a time frame for enforcement, for compliance. That has not taken place. So you will file that information before the court and then asking the court to ensure compliance, because there are other mechanisms available under the law that the court can make use of. So I can assure you that the last day before the end of the sixth month, I will be in Abuja. With respect to expenses and things that are associated with a case, especially of this nature, being put before the ECOWAS Court, I was blessed, and I thank the Liberian people for their prayers, support, and solidarity. I didn't know not one lawyer. Now, listen, I'm talking about top-notch lawyers from Liberia, starting with Councillor James Pierre, Councillor James, Councillor Superwood, Councillor Arthur Johnson, Councillor Momo, Councillor Lavla, Johnson, Cobo Johnson. All of these were Amara Sherry. Not one person asked me for a dime. They took the case out of just devotion to the law, to the rule of law, to strengthen and preserve judicial independence. They took the case, and for all those many nights that we had to sit down to discuss matter, to put legal memorandum together, it was all free of charge. When we finally decided to go to the ECOWAS Court, They decided, okay, look, we will take 2 or 3 lawyers to represent us, and then you can get some other lawyer. We contacted lawyers from Ghana who also agreed to participate without asking all for a dime. And then the lead lawyer, the Falana, Fini Falana law firm, he has law chambers in almost every state in Nigeria. He led or headed the team at the ECOWAS. Not a dime did he ask for. Not a dime. So most of the expenses were things like going filing fees and things that we were able to help to defray. So basically, we were just lucky, and I think it was because due largely to the prayers that people made for. There's a guy who said to me, for this thing, I fasted 2 days for you. I don't know him. Don't know him. So God just got us through that way. Yeah. If you ask me the amount the court gave for what you call compensation, general damages, is it something that I thought was adequate? Well, if you ask me, I would say no, it's not. But that's what the court has determined. That's what the court has determined, and that's the way we will be proceeding.
Now, Justice John, please share with us and the rest of the world what kept you going. You kept fighting. Did you seek some type of consultancy to keep you going? I mean, how did you get through this and to be victorious this time, following the ruling of the ECOWAS code? I know my colleague will come in, but just before you respond, folks, just so you know that British Radio Africa is here to hear from everybody. I spoke with the Honorable Attorney General today, Serena Cephas, and he has agreed to appear on our platform tomorrow night. Now that we hear from the Justice Janet will also be hearing from Serena Cephas tomorrow night on British Radio Africa. Come here, Honorable Justice.
Yes. I thought did you ask a question or you were explaining something?
Ask a question.
Huh?
When you were illegally removed, what did you do to survive? What kept you going?
Okay. There are some Liberians, both in Liberia and outside, who regularly supported me. There were those who would call me and say, look, I don't have much, but I think you have a good cause, and I'm sending you $500. Quite a good number of people who did that. And they didn't even want to be named. They didn't want any recognition. And that for me was overwhelming. The people, that I never really interacted with in the past, and yes, they will believe in your cause, or will send you $500, will send you $700. Yes, that happened. And that was part of the reason that I was invigorated to keep on the fight. And we believe from day one that this was nothing but an illegality, an attempt by a reckless executive government to undermine the judiciary. And every time we do this, the outcome has been nothing but anarchy. So we say we must stand up and fight so that this doesn't happen again. And then with all of this support, and article concluded logically.
Just to John, I just wanted to call a spade a spade. You're on a platform where we try to call a spade a spade. Have you been honest about all your rulings? If you look at your history as an astute legal mind, have you never had any situation where finger was pointed at you? Because one time ago there was this case involving an old lady in a land business. Could you expand on it quick for us? Give us a quick summary. What was the story behind that?
In fact, that was one of the charges.
Good.
That was one of the charges. They say the charge was that I abused my judicial authority, used the influence I had as justice of the Supreme Court to basically steal this land from an old lady, almost 100 years old. Now, interestingly, this was a land I bought 1996 when I was not Minister of Justice. I was not an associate justice, so I don't know how I could have used my influence as a justice of the Supreme Court to purchase a land in 1996 when I became minister, when I became associate justice in 2006. You know, what they tried to do was to just concoct stories and charge. That's why at the end of the trial, they didn't go anything but the one the Constitution in fact say you can't do. I'll give you another example. There was a case involving where a Liberian citizen had and negotiated a loan. And during the negotiation, they asked for collateral. He gave some property he had, basically assigning the rental from those premises, from those houses, to service the loan he was taking. So he received the loan, and then during the period, after a few months or years of service the loan, he now turned around, went behind, and started to collect money directly from those renting from, depriving basically setting aside the contract he had signed with the bank.
Loaning company.
Exactly. This matter was taken to the Ministry of Justice. The ministry basically issued a criminal writ, and this man was arrested and imprisoned. It is this matter that later on this man came out and sued EcoBank for damages. During the trial, the court gave him, I think, $2 or $3 million damages. EcoBank. You know which company was representing EcoBank? Which law firm? Sherman. They filed a petition before me while I was in chambers of saying, please stop the judge from proceeding with this matter. There was a technical issue there that whether, because this was not a jury trial, it was a trial, whether the judge, having made the decision, the losing party could file a petition for, or a motion for new trial. You know, some technical issue there. But as far as I was concerned, this was not a matter that had ever been decided before, strictly on that question. So I had to stop the judge down and say, look, you can't enforce this judgment until I send this matter to the Supreme Court. The whole bench should decide it. They say, I deprive this young man from receiving $3 million. And out of that emotional stress and all of that, he died. And do you know the very law firm, Sherman, that filed that petition before me, became one of those prosecuting me for issuing a way to stop that payment. Shame on, shame on.
Ashford, I think we're going to go to the lines tonight.
Yeah, we're going to go to the line shortly. And folks, if you just are joining us, this is ASHFORD GARLEY Live. We're coming your way from British Radio Africa, SHELTON is based out of the United States of America. I am in Monrovia, Liberia. And folks, I'm telling you, we are going to do everything in our power to make sure you get the first-hand information. We'd like to recognize a few folks yet. The Honorable Senator Darius DeLong is watching. Willie Naaman is also watching. Giorgio Lena Tule, Musa Kennedy, Mary Potter, Ruth Roberts Kwengbe is also watching. And folks, why don't we take a few calls tonight? The number to call is 0888.
Ashford, before you take the call, I just got one burning question to ask. It's just quick. Just
Okay.
Janan, have you ever taken bribe as a judge?
No, sir. No.
But why not? If it's a common practice in the Supreme Court, from what we're hearing.
Well, you know, I always read the Human Rights Report and they make some very wild allegations. We have always tried to engage them to say, look, can you come up with specific instances that will help us deal with them? Because under the Supreme Court of Liberia, we had two committees. One we call Judicial Inquiry Commission, which deals with ethical issues or transgression involving judges, and another committee we call Ethics Committee, which deals with ethical issues involving practitioners of law, I mean lawyers in general. And these two committees are standing committees that sit regularly. While I was at the Supreme Court, we suspended lawyers. In fact, there were lawyers due to what was proven to, as far as their conduct was concerned, they were removed. Yeah. Well, you know, this is what people have done. And oftentimes, the system is clocked in such a way. If you look at criminal cases, do you know our laws say that when you have been indicted and say you could not put for the bond? Or let me now go to that one. Let's say a person is arrested, say for rape. Okay, the person is accused of rape. The magistrate issues a writ, and he's sent to jail because that case, as far as trial is concerned, is beyond the magisterial court, so it has to go to a second court. The law says if this person is in jail because he doesn't have a bond or is not a bailable offense, he's entitled to speedy trial according to the Constitution. But at the same time, the statutory law says that the prosecution will be called upon to say, why are you not proceeding to prosecute? And decision can be made to release this man only after 2 terms. When the prosecution doesn't take action. 2 terms, you're talking about 6 months in jail. But that is one law.
Okay. That's why you go to the line?
Yes.
There are a lot of things that we need to go back to look at the law very critically.
The number to call is 0888-238-8525. WhatsApp is +231 888-238-8525. And I'll look for callers to call in. Justice Janet, do you have blood on your hand? Others have referred to you as former rebel. Have you killed somebody before? What role did you play during the Liberian Civil War?
Well, I have always said that if there are specific instances that people can refer to, then I'm prepared to answer to them. But this general thing, yes, I participated in the Liberian Civil War from the standpoint of supporting LURD. That's true. I spoke for them. I participated at the Accra Peace Conference, which brought peace to Liberia. I did that.
But you didn't finance the war.
No, I didn't. I didn't have money to feed myself at the time. Much more to finance war.
Okay.
All those who make this, they know that before that I was a legal practitioner in Liberia and driven out by those who were in power. Because again, the judiciary became nothing but an extension of the executive department.
All right. So before Ashford goes to the line, I don't know if there's a caller yet, but people would say that maybe your support of Lord will be more tribalistic. Do you see it that way, or were you supporting Lord as a Liberian? Because accordingly, Lord were predominant the folks from the Mandingo side and came through Guinea. Do you see it that way? Because people are still questioning that.
And just before you answer that, I think we have a caller on the line, and this happens to be the international call. Hello, caller.
Hello, my name is George Wheeler, and I call you from Australia.
Yeah, you're live on the radio. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Thank you, and thanks to the guest in studio, the Honorable Associate Justice Homer, I could say. But my concern has to do with the scenes that were at the International Airport on arrival. My question to him is that does he think that the greetings that he got from the senator, does he think it was something genuine or something that was being politicized?
Thank you. Honorable Justice.
Can you restate that question? I'm not sure I got it clearly.
The greetings you received from Senator Darius Jalan, was this genuine? It was just being politicized, according to him.
Well, frankly, I wasn't part of the planning of that program. What I saw was a group of people that I believe a group of Liberians who thought to come and say, "Welcome to Liberia." What it was genuine, was not genuine. Frankly, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, so I know that they came out, they said hello, they came to my house, and we all talked, and I explained to them some of the things that happened during the process leading to the rendition of the opinion by the ECOWAS Community Code.
Okay. Let's go back to the telephone line. This is a 649 number. The last four digits, 059. Hello, tell us your name, please.
Hey, my name is Brother Emmanuel Kule. I'm calling from the United States.
That's right. You're live on the radio. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
To the Honorable ECU, here's my question. We have been told in Roman, or I mean, this clarity from the very set, that when Georgia government took power during the Reconnaissance 2018, Prince Joseph was sent ahead of time to do a hand with him.
Is it true that Prince Joseph has such a consultation with him before he remove her? That's my question.
Did you get that, Honorable Justice?
Yeah, but if it is restated because it was not too clear.
Okay, please re-ask your question.
You want to read it? You got it right, Ashon?
Go ahead, ask a question. Go ahead, you listening now.
All right. The question says, we have been told that Prince Johnson was sent to him as a kinsman ahead of time to excuse himself from the Supreme Court bench that the government did not want him there. They have a personal problem with him. So my question is it true? I mean, they don't want him there. If not, he will be terminated legally, which they call today impeachment, to remove him from the Supreme Court bench. So my question is it true that your kinsman Prince Johnson have a consultation with you ahead of removal to say this guy who had just taken power, they don't want you on the Supreme Court bench, and you say they're going to get fired? Is it true? That's my question.
Thank you. I think you got the question.
Yeah, the substance of the media regarding the contact and then the statement that we can't work with you. Basically, that happened during the trial, the impeachment trial at the Liberian Senate. I'm from Member County, so one of my senators, in person of Senator Prince Johnson, did call to come and see me. So he came to my house, and then he said, KABINAH, they have asked me to come and talk to you. I think he was making reference to the executive department. They have asked me to come and talk to you because you one of my citizens. They have that they cannot work with you. And therefore we should make some arrangement and give you some money. And he didn't say how much money. But he said, and then they will allow you to get your benefits. So I said, okay, so Senator, what is your advice? He said, well, I don't think you should. This is a good offer. I think you should take it and then end this stuff. I said to Senator, first, right now I'm engaged in some discussion with the elders from Nimba County, so I will let them know. But the difficulty I have with this is that how will I call this money that they are offering to me? I haven't worked for it, so they're going to give me this thing because I am a professor of criminal law. I teach criminal law. So how will I call that money they're going to give me?
Maybe buy opt. You'll call it buy.
So I got some problem. The second thing is, Mr. Weir is president of Liberia, but he doesn't own Liberia to come and tell me we can't work with you. So who are you? So I will not go that route. And of course, he wasn't too happy with that. But the substance of that conversation did occur between him and myself.
Thank you. Okay, we want to go back to the telephone line again, this time from Liberia. The last 4 digits of your number, 2165. Please tell us your name.
My name is Momo Banjo, and I call from my old residence.
You're live on the radio. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Firstly, I want to say congratulations to KABINAH Jaren for erasing all long and waiting doubt in my mind that nobody can for me Africa, nobody can for Africa. Yeah, please, that's all of my mind. My question here is, I want to think KABINAH is an independent citizen, a neutral citizen, and he's no go on the Supreme Court bench. I want to know who is he supporting in the senatorial election come December 8th.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who is supporting? Let me get short. Call one name.
Well,
Man, say you're not a regular citizen. You're not chief justice. You're not associate justice. Yeah, you're a regular citizen.
That's right.
yeah, the thing is, ECOWAS Code gave me 6 months to ensure compliance with the decision of the court. Now, during that period, it seems to me that I cannot come out to become any political thing for now.
Okay, that's fair enough. But as for I want to go back to that question quick, man. Okay.
Just after this call, then we'll have Vitus calling from Germany. Vitus,
Okay.
you live on the radio. Go ahead and ask a question.
Thank you, Ashford, for giving me the opportunity. Justice Bernard, congratulations for your victory.
Thank you, sir.
Vitus. Yeah, this is Vitus. Maybe you will remember or you may not. I would like to ask you, because we're talking about human rights violation and all those stuff. Fine. Sometimes, just like what happened to you at the Supreme Court of Liberia, that your right was violated. We too, myself, my right was violated based on the same opinion that you give, which I'm following up to, based on the same opinion that you gave during my case between myself and President Councilor Wabudike with the TC Good. If you can remember a vessel called MP Port Express, Judge Emery Pay at the Civil Law Court have given ruling. Judge Emery Pay of the Civil Law Court have given ruling that yes, this vessel belongs to this particular people. Councilor Wabudike of the present now LSCC boss, the document that he presented at the court was fake. Now, Emery Pay has given ruling based on your connection and your friendship with the TC Good, late TC Good. Him and Wabudike run to you at upstairs. They met you and they discussed. You came down with them. Now you give an opinion that we should go to the conference. Judge Emery Pay said that, but I have given ruling. My lawyer, Lake McFarland, said that, but I have given ruling for the case. He said they should go and sit down and discuss the matter. So I was asking that what happened. My lawyer said, no problem. As it's an associate justice, they have already given order. So let's go and sit down with them and discuss what they said. Now we went on the process where we are sitting down discussing. Then the Supreme Court, it was Judge Kabah again. On the process of the discussion, Wabudi said we should give him the vessel for himself, that he will pay us 1.5 million, which my lawyer said, okay, let's give them the grace. So on the process of him looking for the money, the vessel sank. Now, what I want to ask that, what will be your contribution? What will be your advice? Us who have lost so much money and so much energy, and some of the Nigerian crews that have been running around the Morovia without even being compensated, as you are asking for compensation because your rights are violated. Don't you think our own rights have been violated by your opinion that you gave that destroyed the vessel like that?
Thank you. Justice?
Justice, do you remember that case?
Yeah, I remember the case, but I'm not sure which opinion he say I render that violated his right. If I render an opinion in a case sitting as a justice in chambers, that means I alone, my decision is appealable for review by the full bench. So I would think that in his case, assuming that the facts are correct, I made a decision that he felt offended by. He had a right under the law to appeal that matter to the full bench. And then the full bench will look at it. And if I made the decision that was not in conformity with the law, then they will reverse me and enter the appropriate ruling. So the question would be, what was the ruling that I rendered? If you felt offended by that or dissatisfied with it, why didn't you exercise your right to an appeal for review by the full bench?
I don't think he said you rendered a ruling. I think you gave an opinion to advise them to go and have a sit down I think to arrive at a settlement. So he felt
Okay.
that the ruling was already made. But why will you come back and then say you're going to sit down and have a discussion around?
Yeah, well, let's assume that that was the case after they made a ruling, that a ruling was entered by Judge P. Let's assume that that was the case. And I, out of the blues, just get on and say, look, you all go back and sit down and talk there. There's a procedure to be followed. And I believe that someone talking today will have the right to uh, get lawyers who will be able to represent them adequately. So was that done? There's no one person that will just get on and go say, you people have to sit down and reach a settlement. No, no, no. It doesn't happen that way. There must be something that is missing.
Okay.
Okay. Sheldon, we're going to go back to you, but this last international call, and then we'll get back to you. Hello, caller. Tell us your name. The last 4 digits of your number. 7743. What is your name? And where do you join us from tonight?
Hello, my name is from Switzerland.
You're live on the radio. Go ahead.
Yes, first of all, we thank the Honorable for his legal victory over the ECOWAS proceedings. My question is, we've had rumors about the Honorable obtaining a land from a 4 years old. Can he please elaborate on that? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and that will do it now for callers. We'll go back to the Honorable Justice and then go to Shelton.
I think the case he's referring to is the case that I think Shelton talked about with respect to some of the charges that were levied against me. One of them was that I used my judicial authority, my influence, to take the property of an old lady who was said to be around 99 years. And that matter was looked into by the Senate committee, and it was shown to have no basis, legally or factually. As I explained before, we now have used judicial authority to purchase the land in 1996 when I in fact became Justice of the Supreme Court in 2006. And as far as I'm concerned, this was a matter that went to court all the way to the Supreme Court, and a judgment was rendered in my favor. And that judgment was signed by all the justices except me, including the very chief justice who sat over the impeachment proceedings.
Shelton, I will go back to you, and then we'll go back to the telephone lines. And folks, if you just are joining us again, this is Bridge Radio Africa. Just so you know, you're watching ASHFORD GARLEY live on Bridge Radio Africa. We're live on Top FM in Jordan, Grand Junior County. We're live on Live FM 104.1. We're also live on Joy 101.5. Tomorrow, we'll play host to the Attorney General, Serena Stephens, on Bridge Radio Africa. Shelton.
Justice John, and I asked you a question just before we took the first caller, and that had to do with your open declaration in support of Lord. And I was asking whether Liberians wouldn't say that Justice John supported Lord because they were predominantly Mandingos and they were coming through Guinea. How do you justify that?
Well, I became part of that struggle because I believe that the issue of rule of law had become basically and substantially absent in our country. And I thought that whatever was necessary to bring about change and remove this became a compelling necessity. Now, the excesses were excesses committed, certainly. But my position has always been where the evidence to point to the conduct of any person, let that be exposed and that person be brought before a law. And that remains my position up to where I'm at.
Okay.
Okay. We want to go back to the telephone line. We have 6991. The area code is 491. Tell us your name.
My name is Augustus Gartume, and I'm calling you from Germany.
You're live on the radio. Go ahead, make the point, please.
Okay, Ashford, thank you so much. I have this to say, right? The Honorable Justice. Today is you. Yesterday, people were in your shoes and fought for these same kind of results you're looking for today. And I know definitely that you did not render them justice at all. In any professional, any given professional career, make sure the first and foremost buy from people beneath you is to be more accountable to them, fair to them. That proves you are here and pay off tomorrow when you don't have the job in government anymore. You know that people starting with justice and the emphasis to live this because the justice have been 100% honest there. It's because Liberia has been yearning for everything good that we don't have. So right now when people do anything that resembles good or justice or fairness and accountability, they align with it because it's the practice and the one that people do anyway. I'm saying this as a people and not a justice taken from me today. You should use this as a lesson to learn that Liberia needs to grow and not the age-old people in the system that recycle their same ideas. We don't want it. I support that justice be compensated, that legal proceedings is in the right place. But I'm saying this to the justice that Liberia needs to move forward from the old and archaic system. Listen to the guy from here, Germany. I followed this over the years. He complained on this issue. There are several colors. I want to eat the time and you have other colors.
Thank you.
There are several we can make reference to. So now,
thank you.
Follow you on the submitted, but please learn this today. Let it be your lesson.
Thank you. We have Conor Remy Graves from the state of Minnesota. You're live on the radio, Remy. Go ahead and ask your question.
Mr. Garley, firstly, kudos, man. I hope you're doing well down there. That's my very first concern.
I'm doing very well.
Okay, good, my brother. And Associate Janet, my question has to do with the establishment of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and your support opposition for the establishment of a war crimes court. One of the widely held rumors was that you did not support the idea of a war crimes court because of your own participation with LEARD. Tell us outrightly, what is your position on the establishment of a war crimes court as we speak?
Thank you. Okay, we will stop it now and hold on to the other callers. Go ahead, Justice Janet, and answer the questions, please.
Well, firstly, that is an incorrect statement. And I believe that sometimes it's just good to ask the question very fairly. You have nothing from me to indicate whether I oppose or support the setting of a tribunal to try people who are guilty of human rights violation. As a matter of fact, I was one of the persons that never appeared before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Never. So how did you arrive at the conclusion that I support or don't support the setting of a tribunal? When I was Minister of Justice, I was asked to appear before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And they asked me to appear twice. But on each occasion, and I don't know whether it was deliberate, but on each occasion, they sent a letter when I was out of the country. And when I returned, I wrote to say, I'm back. So schedule me. I was never scheduled. So if you ask me what my position is now, then you ask me that question, and I will tell you where I stand on the TRC. As far as I'm concerned, we requested at the Accra Minister, and I'm signatory to that agreement, that there should be a peace, a truth and reconciliation commission. In order for us to have a thorough analysis of all the things we have done in Liberia that have led us to a very serious war. And my view and support for that, for the establishment of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, for us to have an objective analysis of all that has gone wrong in the country. And I still stand by that. Now, the work of the TRC and its recommendation for the establishment of a tribunal, my position has always been that wherever there is evidence of human rights atrocities, those things should be penalized based on evidence, irrespective of who is involved. If it is a sponsor, if it's an actual perpetrator, that based on the evidence, and it should be prosecuted based on that. Now, this thing about going around just concocting stories and making them to appear that these are the things that happen when it didn't happen, for me, that is also a violation. So that's my position on that.
Okay.
Go back to the line.
Going back to the line. We have DJ Lumet on the line. 231. Yeah, you're live on the radio. The last 4 digits of your number, 5240. Tell us your name.
Thank you. This is DJ Lumet from Corwell.
Okay, you're live on the radio. Go ahead and ask a question, please.
So this is what you did to Mr. Shelton and Mr. Garley and to the Honorable. Only 2 questions. One question is, will Mr. Janet be willing to serve on the as a legal lawyer for maybe one of the lawyers for the COP and everything else? Can you please help us to interpret this Supreme Court law that is based on the constitution of the referendum? Let's give us a light on it, because we're hearing that when we heard that the Supreme Court took that thing outside the referendum was not going to happen. But then we hear on the other side that the Supreme Court now said that. So as a legal lawyer and being part of the Supreme Court, please help us to interpret this. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have a 602 number. A 602 number. Tell us your name, please. (602). The last 4 digits, 0352. What is your name?
Hey, I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey, Siku, how you doing, my brother? You're live on the radio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very happy that you made it safe, and you are safe and doing great. Remy actually said you're doing wonderful, so I'm very happy for that. By the way, you have a very great show tonight. I have a comment and a question. Please allow me to do this because it's very important. I want to begin by congratulating the Justice Daniel for the victory at the ECOWAS vote. Congratulations. And I have a few questions to ask the Justice. First of all, let me make this clarification. My first seeing Justice Daniel first was in Minnesota. I just see him as one of our leaders, people. And besides that, I'm not speaking with Justice Daniel. I'm talking with Justice Daniel at any point in time. So, Justice Daniel, I wanted to clarify something. Well, now we should have a review of a justice in Liberia. Many accused me based on my job. In fact, going as far as saying that you are my uncle. I was remembered as your nephew, simply because we are from the same ethnic background, and perhaps because we are Muslim. Can you clarify to this audience whether or not you have any relationship? That's the first thing. We know you won the case in ECOWAS, with ECOWAS. So what if the Liberian government failed to listen to the demands or the ruling from ECOWAS? What will be the next step? Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Sekou Kana from Phoenix, Arizona. Honorable Justice, you can come in now. And I believe that will do it for callers tonight because time has caught up with us. We'll hear from the Honorable Justice, and he will also have the opportunity to give us his partner statement. Go ahead, Honorable Justice.
Okay, let me start with the first caller. I mean, the first caller who posed the question in respect of the referendum.
Before the referendum, he wanted to know if you would serve as one of the lawyers for the CCP. Is that a yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm familiar with the issues that were raised by the CBP. My understanding of what they asked for was this. They went to court and said, look, the Constitution specifically sets out what ought to be followed if a recommendation is made to amend any provision of the Constitution. They argue in their petition that those guidelines, those requirements as far as the procedure is concerned were not followed. And therefore, they were asking the court that in the absence of compliance, the government of Liberia should be stopped from conducting the referendum. What are some of the issues they raise? According to the Constitution, when the government of Liberia embarks on a referendum, the first thing will be that those propositions for amendment should be put forth before the legislature, the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. And they must vote on those propositions and get a minimum of 2/3. If they don't get 2/3, then those propositions are defeated right there. In this case, they got the proposition by more than 2/3, the legislature of Liberia. So it passed the first threshold requirement. Then it moves on to the second part. The law says if you are setting out those propositions and it's more than one, you must set them separately, one at a time, such that if you decide yes on proposition 1, it will be clear that it is 1 for that. It is yes for that. And if you want to vote no on proposition 2, it will also be clearly stated that yes, you say no to proposition 2. That's part of the requirement. The CBP contended that, look, there are 8 articles the government of Liberia is proposing for amendment. 8 articles. But they have organized it in a way that you got only 3 ballots to vote on. So in other words, they have collapsed some of the proposition in such a way that when you vote yes, though you may not have agreed with the second part in the proposition because it's a different article, because you say yes, all would pass. That is unconstitutional. You can't do that. Thirdly, they say, again, the Constitution, the amendment, the law says when the legislature have voted 2/3, that the proposition should be put on the table, inform the Liberian people, and they must have discussion and other things about it for at least 1 year. But the Constitution also says that you can't change anything in the Constitution during state of amendment, state of emergency. They say, look, assuming the time you set out for the amendment, the referendum was so time, and you set it out say from January to December, maybe you started the year before, you started at the end, let's say December. So by December this year, now you should have 1 year. So maybe you can have it like next year, January. But the constitution say that 1 year period should not be, you can't pass any amendment, say promulgation in a state of emergency. But the period you had, the 1 year period you had, during that period was about coronavirus, and you issued and ordered the declaration. In fact, you declare a state of emergency. So that took away some of the time. So you need to manage that time from the 1 year period you had. And if you did that, you will have less than a year. I mean, those are the technical legal questions that were raised. The Supreme Court said, well, and that was unfortunate as far as I see it. The Supreme Court said, well, now, why were you sitting here all this time? You can't raise it. So what we're telling the government, a goal of separation, change the thing and make it in a way that if John Brown wants to vote on proposition A to be yes, then he can do so. And he doesn't want over A, he can also say no. Basically, that's what the Supreme Court said. But in that opinion, it tongue-lashed the opposition for not bringing this matter much earlier to the Supreme Court. But I thought the people who didn't do their job was the government itself. There was no tongue-lashing against the government. So, and all that to me point to the decline of the Supreme Court. And what was the other question? The other question was what, sir? Hello?
Shelton, what was the other question?
I couldn't hear the guy who gave the long story. I think he was connecting some dots, but I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on the question because they were not coming very clearly.
Yeah, but let me just fill in this one quick question before, which will be my last question for you. I know you declared earlier that the current Chief Justice is unfit. Is he being unfit because he lacked the jurisprudence competence and experience, or is he gullible and corruptible? Is that why you?
Now, before you answer, counsel, the late Chair Chipo also referred to the Chief Justice before Kapo as a drunkard. And it is alleged now that this current Chief Justice is so corrupt. What is your take in continuation of the questioning of my colleague?
No, I like to separate this issue. My difficulty with the current Chief Justice, let me just say something quickly. When I became a judge, I tried to read about judges, their experiences and all of that. One of the things I came across was this guy was asked who had served for many years, decades as a judge. What were the things he would look out for in a good judge? And he said, you should know some law, little law, but you must have tremendous courage. So my first year was, but why this man is saying the judge should know, some law, little law, but you must have tremendous courage. By the time I reached my 5th year, I realized that this was a statement of wisdom. Mr. Ashford, if I read the law and I have some doubt, as a colleague, I can ask you, read this and tell me how you understand it. So we can exchange idea and I can learn from you, you can learn from me. So you always have that opportunity to improve yourself as far as learning and understanding the law is concerned. But you know, when you bring these serious matter before you, and you have all the politicians sitting there, everybody wanting you to dance to their tune, it's only courage that takes you through that. In my judgment, it is this courage that the current chief justice lacks. And he lacks it in a big way. He lacks it in a very serious way. That's why I say he's unfit.
But he has he's competent. He's competent. Legally.
He knows the law.
Okay.
He knows the law. There's no question about that. But that courage to say this is the law, that's why he lacks.
Okay.
So do you think that he's been tempered?
Let me just give you an example. You remember the Isaac Jackson case? The Isaac Jackson, the guy who was at the Bureau of Maritime, and then Mr. Selly appointed him to go to our maritime office in the UK. And then he said he had 10-year position. The current government decided to remove him when he believed he had tenure had not expired. He came to the Supreme Court and filed a petition to say, look, stop this people from removing me because my tenure has not expired, has not ended. When he filed the petition, I'm just trying to give you an example of what I call lack of courage. When he filed the petition, the Supreme Court, through the Justice in Chief, issue an order and say, look, everybody stay put, remain where you are until we go into this matter. In other words, Mr. Jackson, the petitioner, will remain in his position, and you will not replace him until the court decides the matter.
Yeah.
The executive department disobeyed that order. They start paying Mr. Jackson his money. His passport expired. They refuse to renew it, to renew his passport. In total disobedience of the Supreme Court's order, Mr. Jackson comes back to the court and says, look, your order has not been obeyed. The court does nothing. But at the end, out of frustration, I assume, Mr. Jackson says, look, this Chief Justice is spineless. When the Supreme Court decided to look into this matter and to bring it to an end, they bring that issue into the opinion. And then they use it and they take Mr. Jackson's license because he's an attorney at law. They suspend his license for 1 year. Unanimous decision. More this issue where the court's order was disobeyed by the executive, the opinion says nothing about that. Is that a man of courage?
Nope.
Is that a man who is not spineless? So that's the point. And that's why I say he's unfit to sit over there. And I could never, ever sit under his voice as Chief Justice. No.
Well, honorable besides Isaac Jackson, do you know of any who were in a position of tenure that were illegally removed as well? If so, they stand a chance to go in to the ECOWAS courts as well to sue this government.
You asking me to provide legal opinion now?
No. It was just asking if you know of any other case and whether that person, because I thought there was a case involving a guy from Lady, the Liberia extractive industry some it's called Lady Liberia Extractive Transparency Industry or something that had to do with Liberia's mineral. And they were more like the folks who were observing to make sure that the mineral deals that come into the National Investment Commission, was done under the rule of law, and that everything was in the interest of the country. And there was a guy who was also in a tenure position that we're trying to remove too. Are you aware of that?
No.
From
Well,
Lady. Okay. But
I didn't.
actual question is, if that be the case, don't you think that Isaac Jackson also has a case against the Liberian government, for not adhering to the Supreme Court of Liberia by suing the Liberian government at the ECOWAS court?
The court deals mainly with human rights violations. If Isaac Jackson, for example, is of the view that his removal constituted a violation, because you got to show the violation as a violation of one of the international instruments Liberia has signed up to.
Okay.
To show that. So if you can make that connection, you are always welcome to go to the ECOWAS court, and they will listen to you.
Okay. Now, Justice Janan, here you are today, coming out victorious from ruling from the ECOWAS court. We saw similar rulings. And one of those that emerged victorious was the former First Lady, Mrs. Nancy B. Dole. Up to now, she has not gotten a cent, according to her. Now, today you are here, and others are rejoicing. You have not gotten a call from the government, neither some of your colleagues. How confident are you that this government will do the right thing to give you what you deserve? If not, what will be your next step?
Well, that's an interesting question, Mr. Ashford. But I said from the very beginning that there are mechanisms that can be followed. Again, I like to draw a good distinction between my case and that of the former First Ladies. When it comes to issue regarding judicial independence, the court might want to look at that a little differently. Different from the general question of property right. When the court decided Mrs. Doe's case, it decided on the basis that her property right was violated, and therefore they ordered the government to restore that. In my case, it is talking about the independence of the judiciary. And you can see that the court appreciated and expressed that by even setting a timeline to say, we want you to comply with our decisions here within 6 months. That had not been done before. The court had never done that. The second thing was that in my case, this time the court ordered a reinstatement for the first time. So I had argued that, look, as much as I want money for damages, the money does not come from Mr. Weir's pocket. It does not come from the minister, finance minister's office, pocket. It is public money that will be taken to compensate me. So what I want you to do as a court is to hurt its political ego by ordering the government to reinstate the person whose rights have been violated, a judicial officer. And the court agreed with my argument and order reinstatement. They also gave the option, but at least they ordered reinstatement.
Was the Liberian government represented by legal counsel at the trial?
Very, very fully. represented by the main Ashford Court Attorney General, who is Solicitor General of the Republic.
Serena Sivas.
The Solicitor
And a former Solicitor General again, Councillor Wilkins White, who in fact had served as our representative on the ECOWAS Court. So they were more than adequately represented.
Okay.
They were defeated.
Well, Justice Janet, the Solicitor General, when I spoke to him today, he was all fired up, and he promised to be on the show tomorrow night, and you will have a different version of all of what you are saying tonight. So I think the show tomorrow will have some type of interesting twist.
Okay, but I can assure you what he would not see is that the court did not make a declaration that the whole trial here constituted a violation of my right to fair trial. He can't say that because that declaration has been made very clearly.
And he also cannot refute that the decision was made to settle you and reinstate you.
Exactly. You know, sometimes as lawyers we tend to want to re-litigate, and that's not the thing here. This decision has been made. If he has any legal reason for a review, he go to the court and say, you did not consider fully these points of law, and I want the court to do that. The court will do that because that's part of their rules.
And Shelton, I want to say thanks to the Honorable Justice. I also want to say thank you to you. You know, others might see us as what they think we are, but listen, we are BRIDGERADIO Africa. Again, we stand by what we say. We are not in support of the government. We are also not in support of the opposition. We come here as professional, international broadcast journalists. We just ask the question to the newsmakers, and they will explain themselves. Tonight we have the Honorable KABINAH Janet. Tomorrow we're going to have Serena Sivas.
And I think our listeners, our listeners and viewers did understand what Associate Justice Janet had to say. He was very, very articulate. He spoke his mind. He stood by what he said, even as we pushed him over the cliff. He didn't try to save himself. He answered those questions. So it's left with the people to make judgment. And hopefully when we bring in Serena Sivas, he will do same. Like you said, we're only here to probe, and to bring an understanding, because Justice Janet talked about people concocting stories, just making up lies, with no verity. And it's important that the newsmakers themselves come to make it clear and exonerate themselves for all the accusations made against them. And he did mention something about if you have any claims, then there must be some kind of example that you can put forth and go to the court and put forth your evidence, because the judgment passed should be done based on evidence. And unfortunately a lot of people just talk randomly. And I think Justice Janet made himself clear tonight.
And hopefully, those who find themselves in the root of the establishment can make themselves available. This week, we're gonna also play host to the chairperson of the CPP, the Honorable Alexander Bateman. For the first time this morning, I spoke with former Vice President Joseph Boyka. It is my hope that Honorable Nathan McGill, the Minister of the State, will make himself available, and if possible, we can speak with George Weah.
I hope that Tyler makes himself available, because he's always challenging people to debate. He may go around challenging people to debate.
If we're going to have to speak with Alexander Cummings, we're going to have to speak with Moloba Molo, and if we speak with the Honorable Joseph Boyka, we're going to have to speak with Nathan McGill or George Weah. That we are leaving no stone unturned, and this is what BRIDGERADIO is all about. We are here to build bridges and not burn them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're
Your
doing it
final
with
comment,
transparency.
Honorable John, your final comment before we take leave for you tonight.
Oh, thank you very much for that, because that's what I wanted to ask you. You know, I'm one Liberian that takes the position that we need to write a new constitution for Liberia. Now amending provision. There are just too many things that we need to remove. Such that when you start, you will have so many that what you need to do is to sit down and write a new constitution for Liberia, informed by our experiences from the wartime to today. I'll give you an example. A very serious problem in Liberia based on this constitution. For example, do you know today our budget? We spend around at least 70% of the budget just supporting the bureaucracy, paying salary, buying car, this and that, because the legislature under this constitution can decide to spend the public money as it wishes. There are no limitations set here. I'd like to see a constitution that will say you, the legislature, whatever money is raised and is spent through the budgetary system, you can spend more than 20%, 25% of that money on salary and maintaining government. I would like to see those kind of limitations. I also want to look at the criminal justice system addressed in Article 3. Completely change. Do you know we still have people going to jail and still there waiting trial for 6 months? So I'm talking about a new constitution based on the experiences this country has had over the last 40, 50 years. So and I like to be invited with some other lawyers at different times to just talk about the constitution. I like to see you guys in the diaspora participating more actively and making that part of the requirements or rights placed in this constitution. So there are many issues. But I want to thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, and thanks for being very, very frank and upfront. We appreciate the opportunity to have an evening with you tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My man, what a night, man.
Tell you, man, listen, I think that was a good point he made about a new constitution. Because if you go back to the 1985 constitution, we had a military junta that turned, to civilian rule, and they decided to create a constitution that, was befitting to what they wanted to drive. But now that we've gone through a civil war, and with all of the things happening in the country, we can draw from a new constitution based on those experiences. And that would really, really help to catapult Liberia into the new age, because right now we're just a stagnant country. Everything is stagnant. The economy is stagnant. The legal system is stagnant. The educational system is stagnant. Healthcare, every sector of the country. And not to blame George Weah. This is a long-standing issue. But it's unfortunate that he doesn't have probably the technical understanding of it. And so the people he depends on are the very people who continue to sink the country in a turmoil, and it's unfortunate for the country. But yeah, the constitution would be the way to start.
Now, Sereno Cephas is the Solicitor General for the Republic of Liberia. What do we expect to hear from him tomorrow as he come to counter what the Honorable Justice just said tonight?
Well, there is a tendency for, a representation of the government to speak for the government. And I wouldn't see him going far away from what the government, anticipated that he would have defended on their behalf at the court. So he will come probably to defend. But two things the Honorable Associate Chief Justice said, that he cannot, deny the fact that the reason for him, taking this case to the ECOWAS court was not made clear. It was made very clear. And the second part that he cannot also say that didn't occur is that, a mandate was given to the Liberian government, a verdict was passed to, compensate him for his rights violation and to reinstate him in his position. The only caveat here is that he's not willing to work under this current Chief Justice. But as a Liberian man and a man of, pride for his country and love for his country, he'll be willing to serve, to go back in his role, but not under this Chief Justice. So those two things are clear evidence that occurred, and we don't think that Serenos is going to deny those things. But maybe he might say other things regarding the trial, how it went. Was it fair? Was it not fair? Maybe those would be the places where he would be making some, clarifications.
And we will do our best to speak to both the opposition and the ruling establishment, because I believe you would just be balanced, and that's what we call Bridge Radio Africa. We either build bridges and not burn them.
And I think he's the best person. He's the best person to represent the Liberian government, because he represented the government at the Espoir's court during the proceeding, the legal proceedings. So he would be the very best person to come tomorrow night, which brings that balance of Associate Justice coming in, making us understand the word understanding, the Liberian people understanding that his removal was unjust, it was unconstitutional. And then Serenos is coming to say whether it was constitutional for him to be removed first, and whether he going to the ECOWAS code was constitutional, so.
And he's excited because when I spoke to him earlier today, in no time he said,
So maybe he knows a lot that we don't know and the Liberian people don't know. So it would be good to have him. And I believe Justice Jana will be listening. He might be tempted to even call in and refute if there is a bold-faced lie. He might be tempted to call in and refute, whatever the Attorney General would say tomorrow. But again, I can't wait for the discussion. I'm gonna be ready, poised, and hopefully we can have him. If he has committed, I will hope that he doesn't keep us in the cold.
Yeah, and then on the side of the opposition, last week I spoke with the Secretariat of the CPP, Mr. Aloysius Toll, and requested the coming in of the chairperson of the rotational chair of the CPP, Alexander Big Cummins. He said, Ashford, Mr. Cummins is in the southeast now. He comes to Monrovia on Thursday, and Friday is a go. He will appear on Bridge Radio Africa. And Mr. Cummins has been working very hard in the southeast, and he visits Bridge Radio Africa for the first time this Friday. And I also had the opportunity for the first time to speak with the former Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Joseph Yumaboyka. He also assured us that there's a possibility, after he consults with his acting chief of staff and the communication guys, perhaps early next week he might appear.
I think former Vice President Boyka should appear on the show. There's a lot of things been going on behind the scene in the country, and I think it's about time that he probably says something regarding where we are. I think President Weah has been in power for almost 3 years now, right? If I'm right, 2017 to 2020, and come 2021, that would be what? Almost going 4 years. And time flies so much fast that I don't keep up with it. But 3 going to 4 years. And it's about time that a person like him who left who served the country for 12 years and knowing where they left the country and where we are, maybe it's about time for him to come, on the show to talk about whether we made any progression or whether we're regressing drastically. That's very critical. And I think if he's listening tonight, I will hope that the ambassador, former Vice President Boyka, will come on the show so we can have these, kind of discussions, because it's only healthy for the political system of the country. It's healthy for civil society. It's healthy, for the ordinary Liberians, because these are people that looked up to, and for them to be left in the cold with no answers right now is very important. So we hope that he will, come on the show.
For those asking whether or not I'm in Liberia, yes, I am in Liberia. And Shelton, we came for 1 hour, we stayed 2 hours. Your partner come.
The topic was sound. Sometimes these things happen. Sometimes you can't control it. We need a lot more. And some of the callers too, they came in. But yes, I think we had a wonderful time tonight, and it goes in the archive. Our listeners and viewers, please, share the word that you can go back and watch it, so that you don't misconstrue what our guests will say. Because sometimes you hear a presence for the first time and you thought you heard it, but I usually go back and watch these shows every night. I go back. This is how we can improve. This is how we can determine whether we did the right thing. And so I will hope that a lot of our viewers will do same, so that at least for those who are commenting, whether positive or negative, they can go back and see what they're writing and whether it aligns with what the show was really about. Because I think the correction here is for all of us to grow.
That's right.
It's important, very important.
Okay, my brother. Enjoy the rest of the night. Get some sleep, and we'll be in touch.
Again, it was good having Bridge Radio Africa come on tonight, and we'll be back here tomorrow night, hopefully with Serena Cephas. I expect the brother to come talking, so I look forward to it. Thank you, Ashford. You hang in there. Stay safe. Keep your back against the wall and look to the crowd.
Always. All right. And folks, I'm afraid that's all the time I have to be with you tonight. God willing, we will be right back tomorrow night on Bridge Radio Africa. A big thank you to Top FM Israeli Grand Judea County 105.3. A big thank you to Live FM 104.1. A big thank you to Joy 101.5. Oh man, our many listeners and viewers all around the world via YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, BridgeRadioAfrica.com. God bless you. Share the video, like our page, follow us. Listen, this is your home. Until then, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. Tough times don't last, tough people do. The height of a man is never known until he rises. And there's no second chance to make that first impression. When God bless you, don't say that medicine. Don't see okra and swallow bone. A bald-headed man does not walk on the moonlight. Because you can't hide your nakedness from bathing bucket. Trust no shadow in the dark. Yours truly. Sit to what you get. Seven pro na anja ko me ochiraji. Wo no muzo no wo je madobo. To jira ya jira di wa po. The medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of Liberia. The brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. ASHFORD the Giant. Now you know me, Garley. Have a good night.